Well, we understand that your ideals are different than the United States, and we're not suggesting that the U.S. invade Saudi Arabia or try to change their way of life. We're just saying that it puts off to the rest of the world a very hypocritical image for them to support a country that goes against these ideals. Just like people in your country could say it would be hypocritical for you to support us because of those beliefs you mentioned. We're not arguing that your way of life is wrong. We're just saying that it's against the U.S.'s beliefs, and therefore the U.S. comes off very hypocritical. And furthermore, on these human rights violations, it's not just violations against women. Because of, you mentioned that gay marriage is so against what you believe in. Well, because HIV and AIDS are so connected to being gay, a lot of hospitals will refuse to treat anybody with HIV or AIDS because of that reason, which obviously for the US government is an awful thing to do, yet you still support that country. And furthermore, the US prides itself on freedom of speech and press, and that's not allowed in Saudi Arabia because they fear any speaking out against the government because they deem it un-Islamic values. Then Saudi Arabia also forbids missionary work by any religion other than Wahhabi or Salafi Islam, but yet they still don't call themselves a theocracy. The U.S. State Department in 1997, their human rights report, said freedom of religion does not exist in Saudi Arabia, so you've already spoken out against Saudi Arabia like this, you just haven't taken action against it.
Okay, wait, someone else that hasn't spoken. I'm sorry, Sam.
I think what we need to talk about first is just the strides that we've already made. We are a very conservative country in terms of following Sharia and in terms of following Islamic law and doctrine and how we rule our court system. Again, the Sheikh Saleh Al-Luhaydan has just left the Supreme Judicial Council, and he was considered to be one of the most conservative judges on the council. King Abdullah is a reformist. There's recently been a whole shakeup of the cabinet posts in Saudi Arabia. Again, like Emily mentioned, a woman has now been placed in a sphere which was, this has to be, in Saudi Arabia, this is as big as a black man becoming president. This is a sphere that has been ruled by men for as long as Saudi Arabia has been around, and a woman to come in and to be a part of this is really, 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 really huge and should not be just looked over. I think that ultimately the relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia is one of benefits them mutually. It's a common connection as far as oil goes, as far as security goes. We are making strides in human rights. We're making strides in counterterrorism, but we feel like the paltry $3 million that we get every year from the U.S. in comparison to their multi-billion dollars on defense spending is something that they can afford to give us, and we also don't see how. Again, we admittedly need to work better on improving human rights, but at the same time, we don't see how pulling out funding we don't see the relationship between losing funding and somehow women are now better treated. There's no connection financially.
And also, I look at just two things quickly. One, I think, as Sam said, we are changing, but change takes time. And especially when you have deeply entrenched beliefs. So it takes time to retool an entire government so that it at once fits your view of human rights while also respecting the Sharia. That being said, I feel that it is equally as coercive to withdraw funding from Saudi Arabia as it is to invade Saudi Arabia, because you're essentially doing the same thing. You are taking away our ability to fend for ourselves and fend for our citizens, because so much of our trade is done in the United States. You guys are sort of our primary trading partners. I think. Yeah.
And one final point. If you're going to cut off relations with Saudi Arabia, for all these ideological reasons, then you might as well cut off relations with Russia and China, where there is limited freedom of press and speech. There is limited freedom of religion, where China has been oppressing the people of Tibet for the last 50 years. And in terms of your AIDS example, since when over the last 30 years has America been concerned with AIDS policy abroad? The fact is, you can talk about your ideals with this, but over the course of the 20th century, America has had a tendency in foreign relations to turn a blind eye to many of these violations of human rights that you are citing. So actually, pulling aid from Saudi Arabia and trying to justify it with all these human rights violations would actually be the most hypocritical thing America can do, considering the relations that it still has with such powers as China and Russia.
Oh yeah,
And Israel.
closing statement from you guys.
Okay. Ready? It is a proven fact that in the past 3 years, the U.S. has been trying to end aid to Saudi Arabia. Beyond the simple moral reasons not to support Saudi Arabia, the UN would like to bring to the U.S.'s attention that the image of the U.S. supporting Saudi Arabia gives to the world. By supporting a country that goes so against America's ideals, it looks as though the U.S.'s involvement is based on strictly oil and no other reason. The U.S. has tried so hard to distance themselves from this image, and by stopping the support given to Saudi Arabia, this could help destroy that image of the